Hola, chica. ¿Qué tal? So I'm doing dishes right now. It is one of those days where I'm just doing stuff around the house, just kind of busy stuff around the house. So I'm doing dishes and then I'm gonna do some soup. I'm making oven burgers for dinner, but I wanted to make this it's like a bacon corn chowder type thing to go with it. So I'm gonna do that soon because that I can do early, before it's actually dinner time. So I don't know. So yeah, I'm just doing kind of like busy work. And decided to turn on the camera. So, okay. First things first, I have a question for you guys, and this is like a legit question. So, the reason I was thinking about this is because, who knows why I was thinking about this, to be honest. But, okay, so obviously, I just said, hola chica. So, I took Spanish in high school. I took 3 years of Spanish in high school. And I was just recently thinking about it because I took 3 years of Spanish. And I feel like if you don't constantly use something, you forget it, because even though I took 3 years of Spanish, I cannot remember most of it. I could not have a conversation. Like, there's no way I could carry on a conversation. And I'm sure it's one of those things, if I like immersed myself in it, a lot of it would probably come back after a while. But, initially I would be completely lost. So what I was thinking about, and this is a legit question. When I was in high school, we had a handful of students who literally came from Mexico. So it's not like, their parents came here and then they were born here. Like, they literally came with their parents from Mexico. So they spoke better Spanish than they spoke English. And I was thinking about it, and from what I can remember, I don't think any of them were ever in Spanish class. They must have taken either German or French, because that is the other languages that my school offered. And the reason I guess this is a question is because, so I homeschool my son, and every state is different as far as the requirements for graduation. But for my son to graduate, even homeschool in the state of Ohio, he has to have at least 2 years of a foreign language. Okay. So he could take anything. I mean, he could take Chinese if he wanted to, as long as it's not English. Obviously he takes English too, but what is considered a foreign language would be something other than English. But if you came from Mexico and your main language is Spanish, honestly, it doesn't even have to be that. I'm saying Spanish because that's what I took. But if you came from Germany, so your main language that you speak is German, and then you went to a United States high school, were you allowed to take that language as your foreign language, like as your elective? Because, like I said, I don't remember any of the Spanish-speaking students taking Spanish. But I don't know if that was by choice, I don't know if they chose to take German or French, out of choice, or if it was one of those things where literally they were not allowed. Because let's be real, if you are a Spanish speaking person or a German speaking person or a French speaking person, and that's like the language that is spoken at your home, so you are immersed in it and you are fluent, you probably speak it better than like the teacher. So if any of you were in that position, or if you know anyone that was in that position, I am just curious, is it one of those things where you're not allowed to take it then because you would probably know more than the teacher? Or are you allowed to take it and then like those students, maybe they just chose not to? Because I'm going to be honest, I know me, and if that was me, I would take it, and that would be the easiest A that I ever got. But that's just me. Maybe I'm lazy. I don't know, but I don't know. I was just thinking about that. So if any of you know the answer to that, I would just honestly be curious. So, because like, okay, let's say, well, here's another like view of it too, because we also had foreign exchange students. And I remember we had a German foreign exchange student, but I think he took the German class, but I don't think it was to actually like learn anything. I think he probably just was sitting in on it, you know what I mean? And maybe like adding his 2 cents or something. But, you know, he was a foreign exchange student, so obviously his graduation requirements were not the same requirements that we have here. His requirements were whatever Germany requires. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously the fact that he was a foreign exchange student and then he was coming to the United States, then obviously he was speaking English. So that probably was counting as his foreign language, but that's because he was going to go back to Germany. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But I'm interested to know. So anyway, so that was what was on my mind right now. But I am going to go ahead and finish the dishes, and then we'll get started on the soup after that. The first thing that I'm doing, you can probably see in there, it's getting steamy, but I've got some bacon that I am cooking up for the soup. This is honestly like the easiest soup recipe ever because you actually use canned ingredients too. So it's like, other than the bacon, honestly, it's just kind of like a chop and plop and then open some cans and dump it in type of a recipe, but it's so good. So, and it's perfect for this time of year because it's like hearty. Definitely looking forward to this. So some of the other things that I have been kind of thinking about today is just the content that I put up. Here's my thoughts. I'm trying to figure out some new content to kind of put up. Not necessarily, I guess it doesn't have to be like new per se, but you know, thinking about some of the stuff that I already do and figuring out like other video ideas, because I feel like vlogging right now is kind of difficult because I'm honestly like such a boring person. I feel like you guys are only going to want to see me like folding the blankets and fluffing the pillows and vacuuming my living room like so many times, but in all reality, like that's the kind of stuff that I do on repeat. So I feel like like I almost want to start going down to doing like one vlog a week, but it be like a week-long vlog, if that makes sense. So that way it would be a little bit longer, and then it would give me an entire week to come up with content to put into that vlog. So then it wouldn't be as boring maybe. But I also want to post more videos than what I'm posting right now. So I'm just, brainstorming and trying to think of some like video ideas so that I can kind of like, you know, check all those boxes. So that's what I've been kind of thinking about. And I probably wouldn't start, you know, adding in the new videos or anything like that until after Christmas, I would say. Just because, like, it's such a hectic time of year that to try and figure out, like, a new schedule or anything like that would be kind of, I don't know, it would be a lot right now. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas, and I'm putting this, let me just also say though, just because if like I want to hear your guys' ideas, but obviously you guys know this is my channel. I have to be happy with the content that I'm putting out. So if I don't use your idea, don't take it personally. It just might not be something that I feel like I could be passionate about or that I could get excited about. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your idea. It just may not work for me. But I'd be interested because I'm sure you guys have some ideas that I haven't thought of, and it might be like really good ideas that would pertain to me and like that I would get really excited about. So drop those down below if you have any suggestions. And magically the soup is all put together. I'll put the whole recipe down below if you guys are interested, but it's like seriously so easy.
It's literally, well, I put a pound of bacon in. You don't have to do that much. You can do like, I would say 8 to 10 slices if you don't want to do a full pound. And then you just brown that up, drain it, put it back in the pot, and then you add in either a whole onion or like a tablespoon and a half of onion powder. I did the onion powder this time because that's just what I had. And then you add in 2 cans of the canned potatoes, the ones that are like fully cooked and they're diced, peeled, all that stuff. You drain those and then add those in. Kind of stir them around with the bacon just so they can kind of absorb the flavors. And then after that, you add in 2 cans of the cream style corn. And then you add in 3 cups of milk, a teaspoon of garlic salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and that's it. It's that easy.
Okay, so I have like this little bowl just because I want to taste it. I'm letting it cool on the stove and then I'll put it in the refrigerator. And that way all I have to do for dinner is reheat it on the stove. Makes it much, much easier. But yeah, let's taste this. It's like seriously hot right now though. Mm. It's so good because it's got like that smokiness from the bacon and then this like sweetness from the creamed corn. Oh my gosh, it's so, so good. So I'm going to eat this and then I have to clean up the kitchen again. I swear, this is what I mean about like my vlogs would be like seriously boring. Because, for example, when I started this vlog, I was cleaning up the dishes from earlier today. Now I just made this, so now I got to clean up the dishes from making this. And then in a little bit, I'm going to make dinner and have to clean up the dishes from that. Like, I feel like I'm on like repeat all the time. And I hope that's not seriously boring to you guys. Because sometimes it's seriously boring to me. So I can only imagine it would be seriously boring to you.
So I decided I'm actually going to get a step ahead for Thanksgiving. One of the things that I am taking to Thanksgiving this year is prune bread. And I know it sounds like horrible. You use like baby prunes in it. And I know people always like when they find out what's in it, they're like, holy moly, that sounds like horrible. Um, but it is actually one of my like most requested recipes. And the recipe is actually vintage. It's like an old recipe. So I'm actually making it now because it freezes really well. So it makes 2 loaves. I'm gonna make one, for like now that my family can have, and then the other one's gonna go in the freezer until Thanksgiving Day, and then I'll just have to pop it out and thaw it. But yeah, so there's the prunes. It looks like a baby doodled in my bowl or something, but it's just the prunes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this mixed up, and then I'll check back in with you in a little bit. The prune bread is in the oven, so I figured while I'm waiting for that to be done, I would have a cup of tea. So I'm going to have this sugar plum spice from Celestial Seasonings. This is the one that has hibiscus, roasted chicory, chamomile, rose hips, roasted carob, natural plum and cinnamon flavors with other natural flavors, ginger and cardamom. This one is, I'm not a huge fan of this, to be honest. I don't generally like hibiscus hot, but there's hibiscus in this just because I feel like when it's hot, it's a lot more tart, and I'm not going to be adding sugar to this. So I'm not a huge fan of that. But then on the flip side, because I usually like hibiscus ice, but on the flip side, this has cinnamon and ginger in it, and I'm not usually a fan of cinnamon and ginger iced. So I'm honestly just trying to kind of get through this one, and then I don't think I'm going to repurchase it again. But yeah, at least I'm getting my hydration in by trying to use up this tea. The prune bread is done. I don't know why. Well, I don't know exactly why, but okay, so the original recipe, you're actually supposed to put it into those like old metal coffee cans, but since you really can't get those anymore, I kind of redid the recipe to be able to do it in a 9 by 5. But for some reason, These are cooked all the way through, but for some reason they always get this like line down the center and it looks like a butt crack. And I don't know how to fix that because it does it every single time I make these, but it tastes really good. So if you guys are interested, I will put the recipe for this and the soup down below. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and end the vlog here. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for a little bit, and I will see you next time.